Sit back, relax, and enjoy as Don Tony gives you news and reviews from AEW, NXT, and indie wrestling too.
Know what's happening in the world of wrestling without the hate and clickbait.
It's Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
All right, a little Manscaped fun. It is December 28th, 2022. Dynamite just went off the air. Not a bad show tonight. Enjoyed it. A couple of things that caught my eye that we're definitely going to talk about today. I hope everybody is having a wonderful holiday week. Last week was Christmas. This weekend is New Year's, and Jesus 2022 flew freaking by. It's kind of weird that next year is happening in less than 1 week. Now, I want to let everybody know right off the bat, many of you have asked because we did it 2 years in a row, and we decided we're going to bring it back. So we are going to reign in the new year. I don't know which thumbnail we should use. Should we use this one or should we use this one? I don't know. Thumbs up or, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? 10 p.m. is likely going to be the start time New Year's Eve that I will open a stream. We'll have some casual convo, reign in the new year live, and we'll have some fun. Have a little champagne, eat a little bit, just chat, whatever. And tonight's episode is brought to you by Manscaped. In a couple of days, the ball is going to drop in Times Square. So make sure when your balls drop, you are prepared. You are groomed. Not only does it look nice, you don't want it to smell like calf's liver that you left out in the yard overnight in the summertime. My God, looks are one thing. If you smell like an elephant, I don't know too many people that actually kind of like that. All right, enough of that. We'll talk a little Dynamite. We'll talk a little NXT. I got a little venting to do about Quincy Elliott. Now, for those that are not used to the Wednesday show, we usually talk about everything except for WWE Raw, SmackDown, main roster shit. However, there is one little news tidbit that I definitely want to relay to everyone out there today. WWE was supposed to go to India, and the actual date for their show in India was January 18th. Hyderabad, I think that's how you pronounce it, Hyderabad. They were going to go there January 18th for a big show in India. They were going to push, a lot of the Indian wrestlers, Veer, Sangha. They were going to have Drew McIntyre, a bunch of main star wrestlers as well. That event has been postponed. And the reason why it was postponed, and I actually had to do a little research myself because everybody will just take 2 sentences off of Dave Meltzer's newsletter and they think they got an exclusive. Believe it or not, the show that was going to take place in India was sponsored by Sony 6. Sony 6 is the TV partner for WWE in India. Now, what a lot of people do not know is that they are merging with a news channel in India called Z-E-E. And the deal is that this merger was supposed to already be completed, but it hasn't. And there are some outside entities that are balking at this merger. It's like a $10 billion deal. So on January, I'm looking at my notes, on January 12th, they're actually going to be hearing arguments from some banks and other outlets as far as why this deal should not go through. So Sony 6, a little busy right now with their business dealings, so that event in India has been postponed. We don't know exactly when. A lot of people think the springtime because WWE does have some free time at around April, May. The thing is, though, is that they may be going to Saudi Arabia, in April or May. If it doesn't happen in February, it's happening in May. I don't think it'll happen in April because of WrestleMania happening, right at the beginning of the month. But May is definitely a possibility. So the reason why I'm bringing this up for tonight is because now, since they're not going to India, Veer Mahan and Sangha are going to be taking on the Creed brothers next week for NXT's New Year's Evil. It's amazing how Veer is suddenly recuperated. They postponed it a week later. Hey, I could wrestle. There was never a doubt, everyone. There was never a doubt. But the match is going to go down next week. When we get into a little bit of NXT results, I'll give you the updated lineup for New Year's Evil, which happens next week on USA Network. Couple of things right off the bat. We had a little bit of fun tonight. The opening match during Dynamite was Bryan Danielson versus Ethan Page. And MJF was in the skybox with an unknown female. And yes, like minds think the same. A lot of you out there thought what I thought immediately. I went right into my Adobe Sparks program, pulled up my original Kenny Omega Wish, with William Regal's son. Remember those Wish spoofs that we did? And I had to do it. If you saw the female with MJF tonight, it looked like they went on Wish, entered the promo code Shotzi, and got a Shotzi Blackheart ripoff. Funny thing is, someone tried to make a lighthearted joke tonight saying, oh yeah, because Shotzi invented the Suicide Girl look. You do a Google image search for Suicide Girls, 98% of them do not look like Shotzi. The reason why we said Shotzi is because she looks exactly like Shotzi. She looks like her twin sister, complete with different tattoos. But, a lot of you out there were very, very curious. Who is she? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. For those that are interested, she is actually an independent wrestler by the name of Daddy Doom. Don't misconstrue it with the Masked Maniac's old theme song, Daddy Cool. She's crazy like a fool. Why? I can't remember the song. I'm not going to start doing it now, but her name is Daddy Doom. Now, Daddy is spelled with an I at the end, not a Y. Daddy Doom. She has wrestled for New Era Pro Wrestling. She's only been in the business. There's the front side. Here is the gratuitous, is that how you say it? Backside. For those that want to check out, her assets. And here's a picture of her in the ring. Looks a lot like Shotzi. She hasn't been in the business that long. She's wrestling, I think 2 years. I don't have her whole bio. Something tells me that a lot of you are not interested in a bio. But if you go on YouTube and you want to watch some of her matches, by all means, New Era Pro Wrestling is where she's probably known the most. Just keep in mind, and I'm saying this with respect intended, you watch some of the matches, and if you want me to give you a go-to, check out her versus Heidi Howitzer and Lola the Adventurer. Remember that she's not in wrestling all that long. She may look like $1 million, but she's still learning. So be a little gentle when you actually watch her in-ring work. I watched about 5-7 minutes of it tonight, skimming through it, trying to find like a 3-star match to maybe show her best. That's all I'm going to say. So that is her name, Daddy Doom. All right. Look, before we get into a couple other things, I just want to share a few tidbits. How do you like those reports last week? Sasha Banks has arrived in Japan. What do you think? They kept her in lockdown for the last 8 days? There's no photos of Sasha Banks. And again, it's not to be nasty or racist or anything like that. But, when you think of Japanese, especially when they visit the United States, the one thing that a lot of Japanese, everyday Japanese Americans, no, those in Japan, they love to snap photos. I mean, that used to be the running joke in a lot of movies. Mr. Wang. I watched Caddyshack the other day. Mr. Wang. It's a golf course. Nobody has any photo. I was going to be a dick tonight and take Sasha Banks' name and write it in Japanese and take a random photo of her in a restaurant and blur it a little bit and just post it on social media with just her name written in Japanese for people to think I took that off of a Japanese Twitter account. Now you realize last week these people saw that talent agent who claimed that Sasha was going to be in Japan from the 21st to the 23rd, and then he deleted the tweet because he got some heat from it. And they're like, oh, I got an exclusive. She arrived in Japan. So that's fucking who? Show me the proof. Here's the truth, everyone. She went to Japan. She came back. She's going back to Japan now. Here's a little sausage. WWE does not want to officially out her out of her deal until January 1st, 2023. So that is why there is no announcements. There is no press conferences. There's no promo photos. There is nothing. Somebody just randomly writes last week, hey, I got to be first. I got to be in the record books. Hey, she just arrived in Japan. Yeah, okay. All right. So I'm giving you a little sausage right now for everyone. Do not be surprised if we get a little New Year's Eve surprise. Soon as the clock hits January 1st, United States time, probably Connecticut time, then you will hear a little bit. Suddenly there'll be Sasha Banks news everywhere. And it's not 12:01 a.m. Japanese time, because I know a few of you may ask me about that. So be prepared. You might get a little sausage this weekend with regards to Sasha Banks in Japan. All right. I was going to write it in Japanese. I don't speak Japan. I don't write Japan. So, all right. AEW Women's Wrestling. They have some stars of tomorrow. But it seems like a lot of women, it's taken an awful long time for them to even do simple basics. And even some veterans that are on that roster, if you examine it closely, I think one of the biggest problems with AEW is they don't have the trainers like they do in NXT. They don't have the trainers, producers, staff like WWE that is watching, eyes everywhere, making sure that what you do in the ring is as perfect as it possibly can be. Yes, accidents happen, botches happen. It happens everywhere. They're only human, everyone. But little things keep happening over and over. And I'm sorry, I'm not one of those that's just going to be like, oh, DT, you're nitpicking. Oh, DT, you're stretching it. No, I think shit like this ruins it. I'm going to show you something tonight. My friends, I want you, for those that are watching the video part, if you're on audio only, don't worry, you're not missing anything, but I will just explain what's on the screen. Right now, oop, that's not it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, what the hell? Oh, I guess I kind of screwed it up. That's all right. It's not a big deal. I could show you like this. Okay. My friends, look at Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho is in the ring with Ty Mello right now. Now, chairs got involved. Aubrey Edwards takes a chair away, and she is got her back turned away from Ruby Soho and Ty Mello, and she's taking one of the chairs out of the ring. In the meantime, Ty Mello has another chair in her hand. Before Ty Mello throws the chair to Ruby like RVD used to do with everyone, throw the chair and then you hit the kick, the Van Daminator. Look at Ruby Soho. She already has her fucking hands in the air saying, throw it to me. Throw it to me. Now, this is the hard camera. This is Ruby Soho. This is not Ruby Newbie. Ruby Newbie. Hey, I like that one. Ruby Newbie. This is not Ruby Newbie. She's got her fucking hands out before Ty Mello even throws it. Now, it gets worse. Watch this. Watch this closely. Watch what she does. Look, she catches it. Now, just focus on Ruby. She holds it in place in front of her head, and she keeps it there while Ty Mello sets up and hits this move. Look, watch close, look. If that was my company, I'm sorry, I know this is harsh. Ruby, get the fuck off my TV until you could tighten this shit up. Ty Mello deserves a little bit of blame as well because she's a second and a half too slow. But there is no excuse for that. And the worst part about it is I will guarantee you go on Twitter right now and you type in Ruby's name. Maybe the AEW Botches account might bring that up. 99.9999999% of people out there will just look the other way. That is awful. There's no excuse for that, especially the feud between Ty Mello and Ruby Soho that's been going on since I started puberty. There's no excuse for that. That is garbage. You know, the Elite versus the Death Triangle was fun tonight. Falls count anywhere. All right. You know, it's just, you know, crazy shit. But I'm sorry. When I'm watching a wrestler stand there for 5-6 seconds, just waiting. Now I could see, you know, you would think with the wherewithal, okay, listen, this motherfucker takes too long. And people on TV see that I'm in position just waiting for this person to land on me, then I got to improvise and I got to do a reversal or I got to get out of the way and sell it like I didn't just stand there just waiting to be hit. Now, if Ruby would have picked it up and the minute Ty goes to do something, she throws it back at Ty or something like that or does a fucking Eddie Guerrero and she lays herself down, that's different. But when you see shit like this, I can't. When I watch wrestling, I've been watching wrestling since 79, and I will never, ever talk down on anybody out there who's a wrestling fan. You like what you like, you dislike what you dislike. Nobody forces you to know history, learn history, know this, know that. Enjoy yourself. But also understand that this is an art form. This is suspension of disbelief. You know, we're supposed to believe that from 8 o'clock p.m. until 10 o'clock p.m., what you're watching in the ring is real. When you go to a movie, all right, they make it as realistic as possible. Why do you think, hey, blah, 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 take 12, blah, 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 take 46? You think they just said, oh, come on, that's not a big deal. Yeah, come on. Why? Why allow what is supposed to be the number 2 promotion who have top quality talent? Why is that acceptable? Why is that ignored? Why is just looking the other way? That is fucking awful. I'm going to show you something else. Now look, I'll be honest, straight up. I know I'm a heavy guy. All right, I ain't 365 pounds like I used to be. Now I'm like, 262? All right, I'm not that bad. All right, so who am I to talk about someone who has a little weight? Anybody notice something tonight about Samoa Joe? Is it just me, or does it look like Samoa Joe has put on about 20 to 30 pounds in the last couple of months? Now, I tried to find something. Let me take off the automatic play here. I tried to find something with Samoa Joe. I'll go back to it in a second. I tried to find a little video clip that I could show you an example, and this is really not a good one. But I just want you to look closely at his physique. Look at he's always been a heavy guy. He's always been a big guy. I'm not making fun of him right now. But if you actually look at this very, very closely, you look at his chest area, you look at his stomach, and you watch, you just see, I don't recall, he looks like he gained about 20 pounds. Watch when he runs against the ropes. There's just I'm telling you, I know people are not going to bring it up tonight, but I actually made sure to look at Samoa Joe from about 6 months ago. He looks like he put on 20 to 30 pounds. Being dead honest. You know, I mean, he's always pulling up his tights and everything, but if you watch that match closely and you just focus on his midsection, you know, I know a lot of people have said that about Keith Lee, and Keith Lee, obviously, this is not the Keith Lee from even NXT from 2 years ago. And listen, we still don't know if Keith Lee is, you know, 100% recovered from what happened with his, that was life-threatening. So that's why I lay off of Keith Lee a little bit. You know, Keith Lee, you know, this might be the new norm for Keith Lee, but a lot of that weight just can't be healthy. I know with me, and I don't even work out or anything like that. I know that when I get over a certain weight, certain parts of my legs, my ankles, parts of my body just hurt. And it's just arthritis and it's pressure. And my doctor, you got to lay off the pressure on your knees, your joints. You think about Nia Jax way back when she had the problems with her lower legs. And a lot of people thought that excess weight, you know, it's at some point, you know, the body just gives. We're not perfect specimens. So I just noticed that today, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I know no one else is going to really talk about that, but I just wanted to bring that up. Yeah, Joe is 43 years old, and Mark brings up that Keith Lee is 39. These are not spring guys anymore. These are not young, new wrestlers aspiring in their 20s. You start getting in your 40s, your 50s, you got to be a little bit extra careful. And I don't know, just something that I noticed tonight. Just figured I'd mention it. You know, I mean, his match with Wardlow was fine. I enjoyed it. At the end, for those that didn't see it, Samoa Joe finally, Wardlow gets rid of that fucking ponytail. I mean, you just want like a bad cartoon. You want to just grab him by the ponytail and just, like one of those rattles, New Year's Eve, you want to just spin him around and fucking throw him like a bad cartoon. Samoa Joe snipped that shit right off. Good. That look, I don't know. It's like, good, get rid of that look, man. Didn't need the ponytail. And Darby Allin, you know, makes the save. Now, some people might think it was very random. Don't forget, it was not too long ago that Samoa Joe beat the balls out of Darby Allin. You know, it really made Samoa Joe look strong going into the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So they're going to rekindle that feud. I'm fine with it. Nothing wrong there. But just wanted to point out what I saw with Samoa Joe. To me, he's always been a big guy, but, 20 pounds turns into 30 pounds. 30 pounds turns into 40 pounds. And then you got to start really being a little bit concerned. And let's also be honest, Samoa Joe is not the healthiest person around. And when you get into the ages that he is, you got to be a little bit extra careful. Look, we're all fans of the guy. We're not making fun of him. We want him to stick around pro wrestling. My God, if you want to see a great example of what I'm talking about, look at him when he won the NXT title. It's not that long ago. Look at when he won the NXT title. Look at him then and look at him now. I mean, I know it's the holidays and everything, but, you eat a little bit extra, but just look at the difference, and I'll say nothing else. So, all right. So, match results from tonight. Bryan Danielson over, no real surprises. And honestly, if you think about it, going into the last two matches, we had all baby faces winning the matches tonight. Bryan Danielson over Ethan Page, as I said to you earlier, MJF in the skybox with Daddy Doom. Mocking Bryan Danielson for a little bit early in the match, calling him Brain Dead Bryan. And, it is what it is. But, crowd pop big for MJF, that badass heel. Everybody is digging it. Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli over Top Flight. Excellent match. We think we pretty much knew the outcome. I'm glad that they're moving away or not always doing this sudden submission with the, what we always called it the Cesaro spin. The Cesaro swing, excuse me. Jericho tapping out, creative, liked it, unexpected. 2 matches in a row that Claudio has, I'm like, oh, come on. This is, if that would have been a regular 15 years ago, okay, 10 years ago in WWE, that's fine. If he did it on the indies way back when, that's fine. Most of us did not pay attention to it. But that move has been seen on WWE television for 10 fucking years. And suddenly people are just tapping out, no, it's too much. It's too much. Please stop. Oh, God, stop that. And they did tonight. They did. And I was very, very happy with that. When he put Darius Martin into the swing, I was like, please don't fucking tap out. Please don't tap out. That's going to get really, really annoying really, really quickly. Hook over Balaam Lynch. You know, the reason why they had the 15-second squash, because they didn't know how to get Hook interactive with, you know, Big Bill and Lee Moriarty and Stokely tonight. You know, Tony Schiavone was not going to do an interview segment with Hook. Hook don't talk. So they had to put Hook in the ring, squashes someone in 10 seconds. This allows the other guys to come out. The stare down with Big Bill, you know, William Morrissey, Big Cass, and Hook was fun. The only problem I had is, again, timing is everything. And that's probably the biggest problem with AEW. When people say to me, oh, DT, what do you think the biggest problem with AEW is? Honestly, for me, timing. Timing. That extra second or two, that's the difference between Dana Brooke in the ring and Bianca Belair in the ring, as far as timing goes. I'm not talking about their whole in-ring repertoire. You got Big Bill. He picks up Hook to teasing a choke slam. And because Jungle Boy takes too long to enter the ring and hit him with the 2x4, you know, he picks him up and he's like, he's just holding him there. Now, there's a difference. There's a difference when somebody holds them up and mocks them and taunts the crowd, but you know that Hook is not going to be dropped. You know that Jungle Boy has to make the save, and those extra 2 seconds go the difference between a good spot and just awful. Just seeing him stand there and holding him like, it's taking him so long. It's taking so long. And then, you know, him having to eat the 2x4 shots. Sorry. Things like that, that gets under my skin. Timing. If they could tighten up this timing, I'm telling you, that is very, very important. And listen, they got the QT Marshall School. They got wrestlers there. But you also hear how people don't like taking advice from others. I don't think, as much as Bryan Danielson tries to help some of the wrestlers there, I will bet you all the money in the world that Bryan Danielson did not go up to Ruby Soho tonight or Jungle Boy and say, listen, you know, you got to kind of like tighten that up a little bit. You're not going to, wrestlers are not going to do that. They respect each other's space. You know, it's the difference between, you know, trying to help someone and criticizing someone. You know, what a lot of you don't understand or maybe don't know is that when you hear about Bryan Danielson helping some wrestlers, you know, just on his own, and other wrestlers trying to give a little advice, 9 times out of 10, they don't walk up to the person and offer the advice. They give it when they are asked. Hey, Bryan, could you watch my match? Bryan, could you watch what I do? Tell me what you think. Then they will offer it. But who in AEW goes up to these wrestlers and tells them, look, this. I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody. Because in 3 years, it's accepted. And when you just see a Botches account bringing it up, you know, people shoot it down. Oh, that's just somebody that doesn't like AEW. It's a big problem. It's a huge problem. No, don't think that William Regal just randomly walked up to people and said, hey, sunshine. And I'm joking here. He didn't just go up to people and say, you know, you should really do this, or, you know, that took a little bit too long. No, people approach them and say, look, what do you think about this? Can you watch this? I mean, that's usually how it goes. And, you know, again, I think it's a big problem in AEW. So, as we said earlier, the Elite, again, it was not a must-win for the Elite. It was a must-lose for the Death Triangle. In 2 weeks, they're going to be in Los Angeles. They are really hyping up this show. what keeps ringing in my ear is in 2 weeks, people think that Sasha Banks is going to be on the show. Like, please stop with the clickbait shit, man. But in Los Angeles, it's going to be a big deal. LA, it's going to be a big deal. So that's where match 7 is going to be. They did not announce what the stipulation is for match 7. I am still going with what I've said all along. Got to be a cage match. I wouldn't say blood and guts. I think that would be a little too extreme, but hey, anything is possible. But, the reason why I don't think it's blood and guts is because it's only 3-on-3. Would be kind of like, wasting the match. Not going to do Elimination Chamber with 3-on-3. But cage match, I think, is where they got to go. I think you're going to see an insane spot off the cage. I think that's the way they go. We will see. Anna Jay and Ty Mello over Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale. In the main event, as we said earlier, Samoa Joe retains the TNT Championship. He is also the Ring of Honor TV champion, but he defended the TNT title tonight, beats Wardlow. Wardlow was knocked out, with the Muscle Buster. And after the match is over, Joe, trying to play off that maybe Joe has a little bit of, change of heart about Wardlow, took him to the limit. So he's just standing there, and then he belt shots Wardlow. And after he belt shots him, and Wardlow is semi-conscious, he grabs the scissors, cuts the ponytail off, and then Darby Allin makes the save to close out the show. So, not a bad episode of Dynamite. I kind of liked it. By the way, we have a giveaway tonight. We have to announce the winner. And we do have a winner. Now, I have to admit, I feel bad for somebody who came a close second. And remember, when we do Guess the Ratings contest, it's the first person who comes closest to the actual rating. So last week, as we hyped it up, we were going to give away an AEW Fight Forever video game. Your choice of platform. Xbox, PS5, PS4, computer, whatever floats your boat. Now, obviously, they're not released yet, but they are going to come out soon, and you will get a pre-order. You will get a receipt. Within 1 week, you will have a receipt, and when that game ships out, you will be one of the first to get it. So last week, during the live stream, we did Guess the AEW Dynamite rating. And the rating last week, I believe, was 957,000 viewers? Was it? I think it was 957. Well, anyway, congratulations. I got a screenshot for everyone out there to see who actually won. Roderick Howard was the first person who came closest. He predicted 960,000 viewers. B-Love Studios also predicted 960, but unfortunately, Roderick Howard wrote it first. If B-Love Studios would have wrote 959,999, he would have won it. But when you have two people doing the same rating, whoever writes it first gets it. So Roderick Howard, email me, dontony@dontony.com. Let me know your shipping address. Include what name you want. Maybe your name is Roderick Howard, but sometimes you get someone that's like BFAB, and then they give a shipping address. I'm like, is the first name B and the last name Fab? Sometimes they don't give an actual name. And I believe it, I tell you, I've actually had a few people where items got returned because you live in an apartment building, and yes, you have an apartment number, but if the postman doesn't recognize the name on that for some reason, they don't leave it. I don't ask me why. Happens in New York. But let me know your shipping address and let me know what platform you want for the video game. And within a week, you will be emailed your receipt. You'll have the pre-order all set. As soon as the game is released, you got it. All right, so Kevon Lewis says that Match 7 is a ladder match. I think there's gonna be more to that. It's not just gonna be straight up ladder. I think there's gonna be also some additional with it. But hey, if they do ladder match, fine with me. Fine with me. The only thing that I think about is, so wait, are we gonna have 3? Could you picture this already? Is this gonna feel a little too scripted? 3 ladders in the ring. All 3 members of the Elite grabbing the belts and all three on each ladder. I kind of get that immediate feeling. And did you hear tonight Excalibur reminding us about the LeBron James Cavaliers comeback? Told you that a couple of weeks ago. This is about trying to make the Elite coming back against 3-1. It's like almost unheard of in the world of sport. You look back on this, not only did they win the trios titles, we had to endure 7 matches, and the matches are not bad. They're a whole lot of fun and a hot mess. But in the end, to get to the championships, you can't just... And like I said, it was always going 7 because AEW, to me, made the mistake of announcing each date and each building. And yes, I think these guys are strong enough where some fans will buy tickets just to see this match. So when you announce that match 7 is going to be in Los Angeles, if necessary, AEW is not going to have it go 6 or go 5 or go 4. And then those fans, because even if they didn't buy tickets yet, or they were going to buy it anyway, they'll go right on social media. I paid hundreds of dollars expecting to see these guys, and they finished it in 4. You were going to hear that. So they were doing 7 all along. And it'll happen in 2 weeks. Now, somebody asked me earlier, why are they not doing it next week to reel in 2023? Kenny Omega is going to be part of Wrestle Kingdom. Kenny Omega's hopping to Japan now. So, that's an awful lot to ask for him to be in Japan and also be in New York. Not New York, but be in the United States at the same time. So that is why they're waiting 2 weeks. So just in case anybody's not aware of it. By the way, congratulations go out to Ivy Nile of NXT. Anybody that follows the shows on a regular basis knows we are very, very high on Ivy Nile. Emily is just really starting to put it together. Talk about someone who had no pro wrestling background. She's in WWE's developmental now since part of 2020. And she's really starting to put it together. She got married last week to someone by the name of Ari Levy. Some of you may remember that they got engaged earlier this year. And you know what's interesting about them? They got married. They had I don't want to get into a lot of details because somebody told me some things behind the scenes and, they didn't talk about it publicly, but I can say this. Some of her fellow wrestlers and friends were taken by surprise. Like, this was not like a big ceremony with a whole lot of people attending. This was a very private, intimate ceremony. And they are married. So that's awesome, man. Nice way to close out 2022. I can't believe, like I said the other day, I can't believe that in a couple of days, I'm already going to be married 4 freaking months. Somebody asked me the other day, hey, how does it feel to be a newlywed? And I'm like, 4 months already. 4 months. So it's kind of time flies, man. Freaking flies. All right. We got to talk in a couple of moments about this Quincy Elliot shit. I did not want to bring it up. But unfortunately, the Velveteen Dreamers out there, which is what I like to call them, they're really turning this into a hot fucking mess. And I just want to, even if you don't know anything about the guy or don't care to know about the guy, I think the story in itself is disturbing enough to see like what really can happen on social media, especially when you get a couple of bullshit news sites that report it simply because it's out there. Even if it's already been verified as bullshit, it picks up a new legs, and then it never leaves. A year, 5 years, 10 years from now, those accusations will always be around. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. One little thing I wanted to share with you. It's not a big deal, but you know how it is on social media. They're still in the Vince McMahon frame of mind. If a WWE wrestler shows love publicly to an AEW wrestler, they might get in trouble. They seem to find it cute when they see holiday parties and AEW and WWE wrestlers attend and they're hanging out and they take pictures with each other and they post it online. Everybody's like, oh, that's so cute. But, if you tweet or compliment your rival, that's a big no-no. Well, pretty cool to see this. Somebody asked Jade Cargill, if you could defend your title against any female wrestler outside of AEW, who would it be and why? Now, this current climate, probably 95% of everybody out there be like, they won't even say Sasha Banks anymore. Because if you say Sasha Banks, they have to say Mercedes Varnado. Because fuck you, WWE, for treating Mercedes like shit, that she had to walk out and quit. So we will not even acknowledge her WWE creative name. We will call her Mercedes. Just like some people will call CM Punk Phil. Unless Phil says, call me Phil. No, you call him Punk. Just like you call Sasha Sasha, unless Sasha says, call me Mercedes. So anyway, Jade Cargill's response was her choice would be Charlotte Flair because she can go. And Charlotte's response to Jade was, keep killing it, queen. Keep killing it, queen. From one queen to another queen. I like the mutual respect. It's not about heels complimenting heels. It's about respect. Jade Cargill is still green as slime. But, she is developing. She should not be rushed. And she's coming along nicely. So to see Charlotte Flair, who to me is the greatest wrestler in the last 15 years because she's got all the tools, all the tools, and just, the way she sparks her reaction. She has a presence about her. And for someone that is arguably the number one woman in wrestling in the last 15 years, showing a little respect like that to someone who is still new, that's pretty cool to see. I like that. So, all right. NXT yesterday. Now, we don't have a rating as of yet because the holiday week, everything is a little bit slower. I do have a little tidbit with ratings from last week because we got the quarter-hour breakdowns. Credit to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics. And because some of you asked, hey, how did the New Day do last week? Did they spark, a little, pop in the rating? Well, you be the judge when I show it to you. But yesterday for NXT, we had Julius Creed over JD McDonough. Unfortunately, people just cut and paste. They don't even realize that they're wrong. Just look around, you'll see what I'm talking about. About 80% of the websites yesterday wrote that Cora Jade beat Wendy Chu. That is not true. That's because somebody made a mistake on their spoilers from 2 weeks ago, and everybody just cut and pasted. Wendy Chu over Cora Jade. Scripts over Ikemen Hero, and hey, they're tweaking Reggie a little bit. More about fisticuffs. Still doing some of the acrobatic shit, but very, very toned down. Nowhere near what they did with his debut. I like it. Because I was told within like a day or two, the way it came across online, they're changing that script as quickly as they possibly can, pun intended. So I actually thought it was much better yesterday, and the crowd seemed to be into it a little bit. Lyra Valkyria. We got to pronounce it correctly from now on because everybody's used to Taya Valkyrie. So everybody thinks it's Lyra Valkyria. No, it's Lyra Valkyria. I think that's how you pronounce it. She beat Last Legend. This Schism, minus The Rock's daughter, beat Malik Blade, Idris Inofi, and Odyssey Jones. Fallon Henley gets to keep the bar. In other words, move on with the fucking storyline. She beats Kiana James. This Stephanie McMahon, I don't want to say wish, but, people are kind of like spooked now with the nose, what I talked about the other day. And Wesley retains the NXT North American Championship, beating Tony D'Angelo. Next week on the USA Network is New Year's Evil. Braun Breaker will defend the NXT Championship against Grayson Waller. Wes Lee will defend the NXT North American Championship against Dijak. And Indus Veer Mahan and Sangha will be taking on the Creed brothers. So those are the matches that have been announced already. Now, as far as last week's quarter hours. I'm going to show it to you. And again, this is credit to Brandon Thurston. I will read it for those on audio only. But last week's NXT rating, I believe, did 705. Pretty good rating. Yesterday's will be in the fives. And, people will really sensationalize that. You're like, oh, you look at the card last week compared to yesterday. Yesterday's card was a little on the weak side. Let's be honest. All right. So the rating was 705 last week. And as far as the quarter hours go, before I break it down a little bit, I'm just reading you the numbers so you could see. The rating was consistent the entire night, with the exception of the beginning of hour number 2, which if you actually look at that quarter hour, there was mostly just backstage fights. Again, wrestling fans will watch clusterfucks, train wrecks, and just wild brawling. That quarter hour, was you had Apollo Crews and Carmelo Hayes doing a live promo, getting a little physical. New Day and Pretty Deadly with their backstage angle. Alba Fire, Isla Dawn with their backstage incident. And then you had the Schisms, Idris Enofi, Malik Blade, and Odyssey Jones with their backstage. And their rating went from 671 all the way up to 745. That was the highest rating of the night. New Day, though, not really, a great rating. Actually, their quarter hour was, they did not put it this way. When New Day finally had their match, the rating still went down a little bit. You didn't see any spike where maybe people online were, hey, the New Day are on NXT, go jump in and go watch it. So the opening quarter was 682. Which was recap of Roxanne Perez winning the NXT Women's Championship, and then Axiom versus Carmelo Hayes. No Big Bang Theory lead-in, people realize. The second quarter, which was the last couple of minutes of the Hayes-Axiom match, Grayson Waller with a promo, Tony D'Angelo and Grayson Waller, backstage angle, Zoe Stark versus Nikita Lyons. That went up slightly to 700,000. Then the third quarter dropped back down to 672, which was the finish of that match. A lot of backstage angles, if you really look at it, a lot. But if you look at the ratings, they went 682, 700, 672, 671. The big jump to 745, like I said earlier. But after that was done, Indy Hartwell and Elektra Lopez went down to 726. And then Briggs and Jensen with the New Day, it dropped further to 715. And then the final half of their match increased only to 721. And in the final quarter hour, which was the Grayson Waller effect, and then Braun Breaker spearing him into what looked like one of those fucking metal things you put in a microwave to crisp your microwave pizza. I mean, my God, if you're going to recreate Goldberg and Bret Hart, you think you would use like a metal, even a thin metal tray that you could buy at fucking Home Depot for $5. When Grayson Waller pulled that out and threw it in the ring, I wanted to pick it up and microwave my pizza with it. You ever buy those pizza bagels and then you turn the box inside out and it's got this silver metal lining? I mean, my God, I could bash an ant with that tray and the ant probably would have looked at me like, what are you doing? I mean, that was not impressive at all. And Braun Breaker selling it like a goof, like he was knocked out. That was not impressive. I thought that was freaking awful. I think it was awful. So Benjamin says Tony D'Angelo wore a jacket that said TD. He's had that for a while. He's had that for quite some time. So, all right. For those that live in the Florida area, WWE announced the NXT house show lineup from now until WrestleMania weekend. So if you live in the vicinity of where NXT has the Performance Center, you might want to go check these out. I'll just read them to you quick. There's only 10 events. January 6th, they'll be in Venice at the Venice Community Center. They're all Florida, by the way, so just in case anybody asks. The 7th, they'll be in Largo at the Largo Event Center. January 20th, they'll be in Pierce at the Havert L. Fenn Center. The 21st in Melbourne at the Melbourne Auditorium. Tampa, Florida, February 10th at the University Area Community Complex. February 11th in Citrus Springs at their community center. The 24th of February in Jacksonville at the Jacksonville Armory. the 25th of February at the Lakeland Armory in Lakeland, March 10th in Dade City at the Dade City Armory, and March 11th, St. Petersburg at the St. Petersburg Armory. That is your lineup. If you notice, it's pretty much every 2 weeks. And those final 2 weeks is really leading into WrestleMania weekend. So we probably won't have another house show between the middle of March and WrestleMania weekend. So Rampage, this past Friday, not a bad number, 566. It just gives you an idea how hard Rampage has fallen when people are making such a fuss, like, oh my God, it went up 22% in the ratings. That show should be in the 7s at minimum. And 566, you're advertising Moxley. Now, even this Friday, they're teasing Orange Cassidy versus Trent, which, if you saw that segment today, that was kind of stupid. Because Kip Sabian confronts best friends, and he wants a match. And Orange Cassidy's like, I'll fight Trent before I fight you. And he's like, oh, so the match is on? And Trent's like, are you serious? And Orange Cassidy's like, yeah. I mean, it just really didn't make any sense. But we're going to get them facing each other Friday. Kiera Hogan and Jade Cargill, and this is probably, where it gets a little screwy because the pay-per-views are so far apart. Kiera Hogan is going to take on Jade Cargill Friday. I expect clusterfuck finish. And Wheeler Yuta is going to take on Swerve Strickland. That's few of the matches. Moxley is supposed to talk. Jamie Hayter is supposed to talk. And the only match that's announced for next Wednesday's Dynamite so far is Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho. I can't wait for them to get past this. And props to everyone who noticed last week as well. Ricky Starks suddenly has amnesia. The motherfucker still has a title shot. He won 2 matches for 2 title shots, and they're playing off that, he's got to go back to the bottom of the ladder. I mean, Jericho is obviously not the bottom of the ladder, but Ricky Starks could get a title shot whenever he wants. He earned it, and they're trying to make us forget. So you know what's going to happen. Down the line, it'll be one of those surprises towards the end of the night. Maybe after MJF beats Bryan Danielson, maybe it's even later on in the year. Ricky Starks' musical hit, in case you all forgot, I still got a title shot. Maybe he wants it right then and there, right now. Who knows? Maybe Ricky Starks is going to be the next AEW heavyweight champion once it's time for MJF to step aside. We'll see. We'll see. No, Sam. They put 2 matches in one with Ricky Starks. No. It was for the diamond ring and the title shot. I did not see anything where he lost both title shots. If that's true, that makes it asinine. Why would you have a whole eliminated tournament and then have the whole battle royal thing and then you lose a shot? Nah, man. Nah. Yeah, it was for the ring and the title. Ricky Starks won 2 matches, each one championship opportunity. Okay. And we'll wrap up with Quincy Elliott. No, we still got to talk Dax and CM Punk and the Elite. I didn't forget. I mean, there's a reason why I made a little bit of a spoof to John Cena's The Peacemaker, because as you could see on the screen, we got Dax in the center, CM Punk. Now, unfortunately, I don't think CM Punk's trainer will be brought back, but the Elite, CM Punk, Dax Harwood wants them to work it out, wants CM Punk back in AEW. The only problem is, and this is what I think a lot of people are forgetting, is that FTR's contracts run out in April. CM Punk is injured. Even if CM Punk never had the backstage incident with the Elite, as far as I know, CM Punk cannot return to the ring before April. He's not going to be cleared. He's injured. I mean, who knows? I mean, anything can happen. But the thing is, even if CM Punk were to return to AEW and work things out, by that time, FTR could be long gone. And that was the one thing that I think a lot of people didn't focus on when you heard what Dax was talking about. Now, I'm going to mention what Dax brought up on his new podcast now, and then we'll close out with Quincy. This way, if people are not interested, you could just cut out a little bit earlier. And don't forget, everyone, and trust me, you'll want to see the Quincy Elliott stuff when I show you the burner accounts and all this other horrible shit. But don't forget, everyone, tonight's episode is brought to you by Manscaped. New Year's, the ball is about to drop. Go into 2023 and make sure you're nice and groomed. Everything looks nice. It smells nice. So if your balls end up dropping, you are prepared, everyone. Never be unprepared. No bullshit. When I was a kid, my mom used to say, I swear I will never do a show again if I'm lying. My mom used to say to me when I was a kid, you have clean underwear on, right? Because if you get hurt, you have to go to the hospital. They're going to pull your pants down, and you better not have shitty underwear. My mom used to say that. How many of you out there, did your parents ever say that to you when you were young? Make sure you're wearing clean underwear. Well, guess what? Clean underwear doesn't cut it when you're an adult male. And yes, Manscaped is pretty much targeted for adult males. It doesn't mean that females can't get the products as well. You could buy it for a significant other. But go to manscaped.com, enter the promo code Don Tony, get 20% off your entire order, get free shipping, and they just released the all-new Cologne Preserved Body Wash. It's kind of got like a woody scent to it with lavender mixed in. And yes, I actually have some on the way. So I will definitely test it out. I will not show you the test, but I will put it on. We will see. We will see how it smells. But if you go to their website, they got the Performance Package 4.0. You shave those loose pines from your, tree down below. You got the signature lawnmower, which basically makes everything nice and neat. You get the weed whacker for those ingrown hairs on your nose, your ears, your earlobes. You ever have someone suck on your earlobe? And they're like, what is that? And then you realize, oh my God, I got a big fucking hair sticking out of my ear. How many of you go and grab the tweezers and just boing? So you don't have to do that. You get the weed whacker and you clean your ears, you clean your nose, everything looks good. You carpet munch. You don't have to worry, that if you get any hair in your mouth, it's not yours. They got the body wash. They got everything there. Go to manscaped.com, and we're going to do a giveaway in March. Every person who places an order and uses the promo code Don Tony, email me, copy your receipt. I don't need to see your personal info. Just let me see your name and let me see the order confirmation with the promo code. And in March, we're going to do a giveaway, and someone's going to win the ultimate package. The ultimate pack, the total package for your package. Lex. All right. Let's talk about Dax Harwood. Dax Harwood has a new podcast. Matt Kuhn, who does a pretty damn good job. He's been doing podcasts with William Regal. I'm sure a lot of you have seen him. He is the co-host for Dax. And again, I know a lot of you out there, when you talk about Regal or even Dax and others, people you look at even some of the other legends in the sport, there's always someone else co-hosting with it that are why is this part? And again, it's because, and this is honest, that's because a lot of these legendary wrestlers, even wrestlers of today, don't have the time. I think the time is probably the best way I could put it, the time to record, edit, upload, light, this and that. They just want to turn the webcam on, talk, and turn it off. So they need someone to be able to handle all this stuff. And let me tell you something. It's a lot of work. So when you see a legend doing a podcast and they have someone that you may have never heard of co-hosting it, and you're like, oh, why is it? Understand that person, without that person, you're probably not going to see the wrestler doing the podcast. But Dax is doing a podcast now, very, very open, and in some ways a little bit controversial, because Dax is one of those that, is a very emotional guy. And, when you talk about mental health, you really got to understand that it really does, affect people in different ways. And you could have the greatest wrestling career, the greatest family, you're comfortable with your income, you got great friends, great family, and still, that could be a big issue. And, little things that you may just brush off, it just bounces off of you like water off a duck's back. For someone else, it kind of, just really, just like gets them going. And as who sent this super chat earlier, and I was noticing it right before we went live. Let me pull this up here. Okay, this was Bob the Builder. Thank you for the 5 spot, my friend. He says, watch everyone go after Dax, since he pointed out Colt Cabana wasn't a good guy. Has there ever been so much drama over someone as mediocre as Colt Cabana? Well, in fairness, Bob, I did watch Dax's podcast, and I did hear and also read what he said about Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana kind of made fun of Dax's accent when he first came into AEW. And by the way, any of you out there, if you haven't listened to him on his podcast yet, turn it on and close your eyes. Even if you're watching video, tell me he doesn't sound like AJ Styles. To me, you would almost think that might be AJ Styles doing a podcast. I mean, to me, their voices are very, very similar. But, he pointed out that Colt, the first time they met him in AEW, Colt made fun of his accent. And that really rubbed Dax the wrong way. He also mentions that they really haven't talked to Colt at all. During all this time, there's no interaction at all. Now, I will say this. If you go and you watch what he said about Colt, it was really, really strange. Because Dax, okay, Colt rubbed you the wrong way, made fun of your accent, but then Dax gets into this vent about how his mother and his father both lost their jobs within a month, and he had to work 3 jobs growing up, and working on weekends, and to get himself with wrestling and everything. And it's a wonderful story, and I believe every minute of it. But I was like, wow, he talked about all of this. At the same time, he's talking about Colt Cabana rubbing him the wrong way by making fun of his accent. I don't think Colt was trying to go after like his upbringing and how he had to work 3 jobs, and his parents that, unfortunately had lost their job. Like, it was like, if I'm Colt, I'd be like, whoa, I just thought your accent was a little fun. And I'm not sticking up for Colt. That motherfucker never once in those 7 months, never went on a podcast or social media. And I know I brought it up before. Remember that. That motherfucker never once, for 7 months, never went on social media and say, hey, guys, listen, thank you for all the love and support. But, even though CM Punk and I don't talk, he did not get me demoted or fired, or he had nothing to do with it. That motherfucker just kept silent and let it turn into a giant snowball. And then Tony Khan almost does the Jericho. Tony Khan's like, oh no, that was me. That was all me that did that. You waited fucking 7 months to say that? So obviously Tony Khan is like, hey, I'll take the bullet. Yeah, I'll take the blame. I'm Teflon. Nobody's going to go after me. And that's exactly what happened. So when you see Colt taking on Jericho on TV, then the reaction is by Jericho, oh, no, that was me. And it had nothing to do with CM Punk. I just chose Colt because Colt was a former champ. And everybody lets it go. So I found that a little strange of Dax getting into the whole thing about the school. But you all obviously want to hear what he said about CM Punk and the Elite. And I want to thank Marty for sending me these screenshots. For those on video, you can look at your screen. For those on audio, I will read it to you. When he talks about CM Punk being in AEW, he says, and I quote, Punk was so joyous and happy to be in the wrestling business. To be honest, he told me when they were going to put the belt on him that he did not want the belt. He said, I just want to have fun. But he understood that Tony putting the belt on him would put AEW in a better light. He took the belt. At the time, he was taking him, Cash, MJF, Wardlow, Hobbs, and Dax says he's missing so many other guys. He was taking us out to eat, always paying for it. He bought all the girls in the locker room Starbucks gift cards and had one of the girls hand them out anonymously and didn't say who they were from, but it was from him. I mean, just think about this. Just because he loved the atmosphere and loved being there. He also loved the work the girls were putting in. He thought they were busting their asses to try to get the attention that the WWE women's division was getting. You know, Dax only met Punk, I think, once prior to AEW, I believe. I mean, they didn't have this big relationship. You know, so you think about that. It's pretty cool to see this. And again, you know, when you heard Hobbs a year ago talking about Punk, you know, there was a lot of love spilled for Punk. But unfortunately, and let's be honest, you know, when the Elite and those guys, and it's not just three guys, you know, you have your Colt Cabanas, you got your QT Marshalls, you got your, you know, Brandon Cutlers, that they might come off as goofs on TV, Michael Nakazawa, but behind the scenes, they have pull. And Tony Khan cannot run AEW with all of these guys. Don't have replacements. There's no, you know, Monster.com that's ready to fill those roles if those guys all walk out. That's why even during the whole thing with the CM Punk stuff, you know, they were working remote. They weren't just sitting at home and playing with their dogs and playing with their kids and running around the fucking bushes and the forest and jumping in pools, you know, and working out. No, they were working still. It's just that it was done remotely because of that perception. All right, continuing with Dax's comments. He was asked by Matt Kuhn if he would like to see CM Punk back in AEW. His words, and I quote, "I can tell you what I hope because I don't know. Everyone knows about the legalities of the situation, and no one is really expressing what is going on, what is going to happen, and what has happened, and what won't happen. I could tell you all I can be truthful about. I can only tell you what I know and what I perceive to know. I hope that he comes back. I feel that AEW should have the Young Bucks in their locker room. AEW should have Kenny Omega in the locker room. I feel that AEW should have CM Punk in the locker room. With those four entities, it makes our roster so much deeper and better. It's four guys who want to be the best. Regardless of what any of us think personally, I know that we all want to be the best, and I know we all want the best for professional wrestling. It's given us a life that we could never have otherwise." Then he finishes up. He concludes by saying, that's the same thing. Hold on. That's the same. Oh yeah. So that's pretty much it. Here it is. He feels with those four entities, it makes the talent roster so much deeper and better. It's four guys who want to be the best. He wants CM Punk back in that locker room. He wants them to make more history. And, you know, this doesn't mean anything. And I'm not saying that to belittle Dax Harwood. This is a guy who is good friends with CM Punk, that for the benefit of AEW, for the benefit of professional wrestling, to make money, to make history, to make magic, to, you know, put on great wrestling for fans. He wishes that he made the plea. He wants these guys, for the betterment of wrestling, to work out their differences, to work out their problems. And I think we all would love that. At the end of the day, I've said this before, I'd rather see CM Punk return to AEW than go to WWE. Because with WWE, you know, with that history, even though Vince is not physically there anymore and John Laurinaitis is gone, it's still, CM Punk is not the easiest person to work with. He's not the easiest person to deal with. And in my opinion, I think it would be even worse for him to work for a publicly traded corporation, billion-dollar company like WWE, where, you know, even like some of their businesses, the Saudi Arabia deal in itself, you know that if that guy comes back, somebody out there is going to hit him with the question, you know, do you still feel the same way about WWE going to Saudi Arabia and blood money and all this other stuff? You think about, you know, the problems with The Miz. You think about some other things. Even if he gets older and he gets mellow, there is a lot of things that for AEW, okay, it's a young locker room. It's a new company. It's growing pains. Tony Khan is new to the business. You give it more time. In WWE, they won't tolerate that shit. The smallest little issue, we can end up with a train wreck. And CM Punk, look, I've always said it, not the best environment to do it in, probably totally unprofessional for him to do it, but I will always defend CM Punk for doing what he did, even though I don't like the guy all that much. I'm still blocked from that guy. I've said a lot of things over the years about CM Punk, but I also feel that when you use the term the voice of the voiceless in WWE, you have no clue how true that phrase is in AEW, because there are a lot of people in AEW who truly are the voice of the voiceless. Without AEW, they ain't going to WWE. Some of them won't even be able to go to Japan. Some of them would be working bullshit indies making $150 a show. Some of those wrestlers damn well know that AEW is probably their best shot to put it all together and make something good out of it. And with CM Punk, seeing what's going on behind the scenes, seeing the politics, seeing the breadcrumbs, look at the Miro stuff. That's the perfect example lately with Miro. Every time there's this noise about AEW's misuse of Miro and why are they not using this and that, suddenly a reporter somewhere has a scoop negative about Miro. These fucking EVPs send those journalists all these crumbs. Hey, put it out there this, put it out there this, put this out there. Oh, put Malachi Black, he's got, he wants out, he's got mental health issues. You remember when Malachi Black put it out there and said, I don't like my personal stuff being made public? What do you think? Jose, not the assistant, Jose the fucking janitor, just happened to be mopping the floor and he heard in the background Malachi Black telling Tony Khan, oh, my mental health, I want out of there. Oh, you're not going to believe what I just saw. I just heard. I was just mopping the floor and scrubbing the toilets and I heard Malachi Black crying in the other locker room. No, the fucking management, those EVPs go to the journalists and say, this motherfucker, blah, 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 just anonymously put it out there. Reports are. And the reason why people write reports are is because they don't want to get punched in the fucking mouth one day at a convention. What the fuck you throw all that stuff out there for? Reports are is that CM Punk forced Colt Cabana out. Why do you think CM Punk went right at that journalist that time? Because that's the same journalist that went and asked Tony Khan at Ring of Honor's press conference, WrestleMania weekend. I think that was the event. Like, hey, reports are that CM Punk, forced Colt Cabana. Oh, I have no comment. That same reporter. So now CM Punk has the media scrum and sees all this other bullshit and the EVP's feeding this stuff and sees what's being leaked out about Malachi Black and he sees what's being leaked out about Miro and see what's being leaked out about some of the women. You remember that, 3 women that are very close with Thunder Rosa are suddenly not getting pushed? You remember, I think it was Lee Johnson that went publicly and said, hey, what the fuck is this news report? What the hell is this shit? Because people keep throwing shit out there and the reporters, as soon as they're like pigeons, you throw the crumbs and they fucking flock everywhere. So CM Punk at that media scrum has all the journalists doing all this shit, knows that those journalists are getting these crumbs from the EVPs especially. Why do you think Dax Harwood only brought up the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega? Why didn't he bring up anybody else? Because those are the 3 guys in particular that do this more than anybody else. And CM Punk sees all these journalists that are getting the crumbs. Not all of the journalists, but a good portion of them in there. And the first person that opens up their mouth to CM Punk is the guy 6 months earlier that brought up Colt Cabana being designated to Ring of Honor and maybe even gone originally because CM Punk, his influence. So CM Punk, not professional, but had that opportunity to fucking really stick it to those journalists and stick it to those EVPs. And what unfortunately happened. So Dax Harwood is the same as Bryan Danielson. You remember my thumbnail from the summertime with Bryan Danielson? I said, will it ever happen? And it's him holding the AEW championship. You remember my rant? I said, why do I get the feeling that Bryan Danielson told Tony Khan, I don't want to win the championship. Give it to the guys of tomorrow. You build up your stars. You're homegrown. I don't want the championship. Remember when we had that rant? Now you're hearing Dax Harwood say CM Punk didn't want the title, but he understood why it was necessary. CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, you see where the trend is going? These guys, just want to, keep their careers going, have fun, this and that. But CM Punk, the difference between him and Bryan Danielson is Bryan Danielson does his job and goes home, spends time with his wife, his family, and, just tries to have a more simple life. And CM Punk, he sees some of the bullshit going on. I ain't keeping silent. I ain't fucking doing that. You hear all these little things that start coming out between CM Punk and that locker room, and you understand that some of the names involved and some of the names that will never be made publicly, they can't speak up. They speak up, they'll get eviscerated. And this is why, like I said, the latest one is Miro. And every time there's noise about Miro, there's always a journalist that somehow has something negative to throw out there to try to calm that noise down. There's always a response. So, all right, that is my rant. So, I would love to see CM Punk work things out. My only concern is this is the foundation of AEW. Us wrestling fans, we just want good entertainment. We don't give a shit about the behind-the-scenes stuff. We do to a certain extent. And yes, gossip is always, curious and attention-getting. But at the end of the day, we just want good wrestling. Unfortunately, the climate, the foundation, the culture, why is that going to change? And I think people need to stop. I'm not shitting on Tony Khan. People need to stop treating Tony Khan as if he's a deer in headlights that is at the mercy of all these guys. Why doesn't anybody think that people think he doesn't think the same as Sammy Guevara? Doesn't think the same as the EVPs and the elite? These are people that he gave tremendously powerful positions. That you look at the history of pro wrestling, that's not the norm. But these are the people that Tony Khan is most comfortable with. He goes with who he is comfortable with. So people need to understand that culture is not going to change. But CM Punk caught them with their hands in the cookie jar. So if CM Punk were to come back, suddenly everybody's going to get along. I don't see it. So as much as Dax would love to see this happen, we would love to see it happen. And Dax is a really good guy and just wants everybody to maximize and just have fun. At the end of the day, though, you can't teach a new dog, old dog, new tricks. You're not going to change that foundation simply because, we want to have more. It's not going to happen. Kenny Omega is one injury away from calling his career quits. The Young Bucks, they love doing what they're doing, but at the end of the day, they have an executive job behind the scenes. They get double checks. A lot of these guys get 2 checks. People don't realize that. So, all right, before we wrap up with Quincy Elliot drama, and that sucks. He's getting the Velveteen treatment, and I don't know if that's fair, to be honest with you. Crazy Cruiserweight for one night only. If it's on Patreon, can I bring back the I don't know how to speak Japan intro? His favorite intro from me. Sure, I'll do it next week. I just got to go on my old hard drive. I'll throw it on Patreon. Absolutely. You give me 5s, I'll keep throwing retro stuff out there. No, you don't have to pay me to do it, but absolutely. I don't speak Japan. I got to go through my old intros. I actually think the title of the file is I Don't Speak Japan. So, Cruiserweight, thank you for that, my friend. And Dorian Mesa, happy 15-month anniversary being a channel member. DT, thank you for another year of great shows. May 2023 be filled with health, happiness, and success for me and my family. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Every single one of you out there, thank you for your support. Believe me, you make this fun. And that's not kissing your asses out there. I'm in my 50s now. I'm entering my 26th year doing this. I don't do it because I'm the longest one in history doing this. I don't do it because I'm extremely bored. I don't do it because, I don't know what I'll do if I'm not doing this. I do it because I'm still a huge wrestling fan, and I love mingling with all of you, and I love putting points out there. And the fact that you tune in, it's the greatest. It's the greatest. So I ain't going anywhere. unless, I get a stroke and I come up here, and I'm not trying to make fun of people. If I come up here and I'm like, if I can't put words together, that's why I always feel so horrible for Captain Ivan. A lot of you don't notice. We had a wrestling hotline host named Captain Ivan. I had my problems with him over the years, but he was generally a good guy. And the guy was a coffee gopher for WWF. He worked with Brooklyn Brawler, worked with Harvey Whippleman. Whenever WWF went to the Garden, he was always working behind the scenes, and he loved doing a wrestling hotline. And we used to compete with each other. A lot of you remember the prank call. Remember Robert De Niro? Who's this? That was him when I prank called him. And at the end of the prank call, he's like, oh, I know who this is. This is Anthony. I got caught pranking him. He had a stroke. And I'll never forget. Some of you will still remember this. I talked to him on the phone, and I almost started crying because he had a stroke, couldn't talk. And he said to me, you can make out some words, but he said to me, he says, can I come on your hotline for a night? And I said, sure, absolutely. I came on with him, and it was the most awkward thing because he was trying to put out the sentences and trying to talk, and he just couldn't. Now, I haven't talked to him in a long time. I hope to God that he is much better. But his speech was so slurred, it sounded like somebody who was drunk. And I'm not saying that to be funny, but, man, it's like, I think of Gordon Soley. Gordon Soley, when he got the issues with his throat, and then I think cancer, took him. At that time, he was already way past his announcing prime. But I could only imagine when your voice is what you love doing more than anything, and that gets taken away from you. So, when I say this lightheartedly, that the only way I'll stop doing this is if I get a stroke and I can't talk. I say that lightheartedly because I don't even want to think about how would I feel, if, God forbid, something happened to me and I couldn't do the things that I love to do, and that's why I don't take life too seriously anymore. The drama, the bullshit, the people out there that, you get away from all that shit. Just try to have fun, try to laugh. There's no malice in what I say. We have some fun, we do a little tongue-in-cheek humor, but at the end of the day, it's just about having some fun times, man, because there's so much bullshit going on in this world. I don't have the energy to be down anymore. Next Friday, I got to get fucking biopsies on both sides of my neck because I got 3+ centimeter cysts that probably have to get surgically removed. And then I got my prostate stuff that I never took care of yet because it's stabilized and gotten worse. Shit like that kind of like rocks you a little bit, So, all right. I guess it would be a good segue to our last thing tonight. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but it's definitely something you should know about because it just goes to show you how anybody out there you get any momentum against you that could do you in socially, even with a job. And Quincy Elliot is a guy that is new to pro wrestling for the most part. He is the super diva in NXT. Some people compare him to Sonny Kiss and others, fine, whatever, that's fine. But obviously, he's still new and he's in developmental. So obviously, the character is going to be tweaked. They're going to throw shit on the wall to see what sticks and what doesn't. If anybody remembers when I went on my honeymoon and went to NXT that time, when I came back on this show that following Wednesday, one of the first things I said when I went to NXT that Tuesday was I met a couple of people that were friends with Quincy Elliott, and they were putting over this guy as like one of the nicest, one of the sweetest people you will ever meet. All right, so I talked about that months ago. Now, obviously the character is less to be desired, but again, you're in developmental. They got to try to figure something out with the guy. People don't like him, fine. But what's going on right now is kind of disturbing, okay? And I'm going to just share with you some of it. All right, right now, if you Google his name, just Google his name, and especially if you go on Google and you hit the news category, you will see a bunch of websites not only accusing him of saying homophobic, derogatory things, saying shit about individual wrestlers in NXT, saying, the N-word and other stuff, and, just really vile shit. What some news sites are doing to be cute about it is they'll say Quincy Elliott denies accusations. Now, before, I was going to talk about this a week ago, and I said, you know what? I got to really look into this to see if there's anything behind it. And this is what I found, all right? There is a group of people online that some of them are in the LGBTQ community. Some are not. And it's interesting that this seems to be following a similar path of Velveteen Dream. Now, look, I ain't defending Velveteen Dream anymore. That fuckhead got arrested. I saw the TMZ video. You give me my Miranda rights. You fucked up. You didn't give me my Miranda. And he said it like 50 times. Man, you fucked up. That guy, I don't know if he'll ever return to pro wrestling. But the thing is, if you remember originally the accusations, with Velveteen Dream, the accusation was that he was talking to children, minors, in the wee hours of the morning. And people were alleging that he wanted to see nudes, or he sent nudes of himself and this. That shit's fucking criminal. And the people that made those accusations, two of them, were in a message board that same night, using the N-word and talking all this shit about Velveteen Dream, that they were going to get this guy. Then you had some others that claimed that Velveteen Dream, did the things I just said. And when they started posting proof, the only screenshots that these people somehow were able to get is him asking someone, what school did you go to? Oh my God, throw him in fucking jail. What school did you go to? There's no before, there's no after, there's no conversation as far as why that was said. They grabbed that, gotcha. And it was one of the most ridiculous things at the time. All right, fine. Those people early on said, you know what? Maybe he was hacked. Maybe he was hacked. You look on Twitter, a lot of wrestlers have been hacked. Hey, I'm selling a PlayStation 5. How many times have you seen that in the last 12 months with wrestlers? They get hacked. So these people that were throwing this out there originally said, maybe Velveteen Dream got hacked. Velveteen Dream goes public and says, that's not me. I didn't send them. Not even 10 minutes later, you're a liar. You're fucking lying. You sent that. Why would you even put it out there? Maybe he was hacked. Maybe it wasn't him. Because if they would have accepted what he said, they're done. There's no reason to talk about this anymore. They are back into their Twitter account with 80 followers. Their names are nothing because the story is dead. I didn't do it. Suddenly it went from, well, maybe he was hacked, was, we don't fucking believe you. And it took a life of its own. And it started with, if this is true, that guy's career is over. If this is true, that guy's career, that big if true. Anybody remember that? Big if true. So that's how it started. Then you got other people out there, man, I don't know if it's true. I don't really see any proof, but man, if he did this, he's fucking done. He's fucking done. And then you get this cancel culture that they realize, I go after this guy. I got 100 people agreeing with me. I got 100 people liking my shit, retweeting my stuff, talking to me. I feel like I'm part of a movement for a worthy cause. And then they start thinking they're doing something good. Let's cancel this guy out. Let's get rid of him from WWE. Triple H, what the fuck are you doing? Vince McMahon, what are you doing? This and that. So what happens is, and this is the part that nobody talks about because it's boring. And it kind of throws everything out the window. WWE asked Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark, would you give us your phone and let us have it forensically analyzed? Because yes, you could delete your tweets and they could still pull it. And he gave up his phone and they paid an outside company to forensically look at his phone. Not only did they look to see if he sent any derogatory tweets or anything possibly even criminal and then delete it. They also checked his phone to see if he used any type of software to eviscerate any tracks that it could never be recovered. You know, like BleachBit is the most famous one because of, I think, Hillary Clinton or something like that. But they checked his phone to see what he deleted and to see if anything was installed previously to enhance the deletion. And they found nothing. They found nothing. And people would not accept that because if they accept it, story over. So now look, that guy, obviously, you know, we know what he has done recently, but still, if you remember how this originally started, now you think about Quincy Elliott. And it's interesting because you think of Velveteen Dream's character and his sexuality. You look at Quincy Elliott's character and his sexuality, and it's interesting that it kind of like follows that path. I'm not alleging anything, but it's interesting that it came out that way. So in the last 2 weeks, you have a group of people online accusing him of having burner accounts. Now, for those that don't know what burner accounts are, long story short, you know, you have your regular social media account, and then you set up an extra one. And you use a fake name, fake email, fake picture, fake that, and you use that account to hurt people that you wouldn't dare have the balls to say under your real name. Or you may use that account to put yourself over, you know, because, you know, you don't want to self-promote yourself. So they allege that Quincy Elliott, after all of these years, been on social media for over a decade, suddenly gets 2 burner accounts and is sending derogatory stuff to people online, making fun of their sexuality, using the N-word, derogatory comments about wrestlers, Zoe Stark, Cameron Grimes, and others, and they accuse him of all this stuff. Then he's got screenshots of some of these people looking for money. If you don't give us money, we're going to put this shit out there. And that's basically clout chasers. That was, remember that term with Velveteen Dream? The clout chasers. That's what I called them all the time. Now I call clout chasers Velveteen Dreamers because that's what they did to Dream. As fucked up as Velveteen Dream is right now, remember how it went down. So now you have this group of people online that are accusing Quincy Elliott of doing this. Originally they said, well, maybe he was hacked. Quincy Elliott went public and said, I didn't say any of those things. And what are they now saying? You're a fucking liar. And if you look at Reddit right now, where the most buzz is, what you keep seeing over and over again is, where's the proof? Where's the proof? I don't see any proof that Quincy Elliott did any of this stuff. Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Where's the proof? There is no proof. My friends, this is one of the burner accounts. Look at the month it was joined. This burner account is not even a month old. Okay? This is a burner account. This is the other burner account. Now, I censored out something because it was very, very awful. So these are the 2 burner accounts that they say are his, and they have no proof of it. And what's interesting about it is, why would these 2 burner accounts both at the same time go after a half a dozen nobodies? Like, why out of nowhere would this, and not only that, this guy has a social media footprint for over 10 years. Why would you have to get burner accounts now just to go after these people? It doesn't make sense. So anyway, they supply these screenshots. Hold on. Not that one. Not that one. I'm going to show you a couple. All right. Here's one screenshot. Okay. Yeah, rhymes with maggot. That is him basically going after some of these people. Here is another one. Him talking about sexuality. All right. Here's another one. Calling someone a man, this, that. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Here's another one. Let me show you this one. Okay. The 2 burner accounts. That's what they based it on. So what's happening now is this guy took his social media down. These people are sending DM after DM after DM posts everywhere. Everyone, you got to start this shit. You got to start spreading the word. We got to get this guy out of NXT. We got to get him fired. Triple H, how the fuck you keep someone on your company? Shawn Michaels, look, Zoe Stark, look what he said about you. Like there is this wild vendetta suddenly, and it's forcing like the entire footprint of this guy, because even though there is no proof, people realize that some of these news outlets out there, just to get attention to their site, they won't write, Quincy Elliott accused of homophobic, racist, derogatory, this, and that. Because if you do a little research, you realize there's nothing to substantiate that it's him. There's nothing. There is zero. If he accidentally, posted from his regular account, okay, that's fine. If somehow there was an email address that backtracked to him, that's fine. But there's 2 burner accounts. We don't even know if those burner accounts were created by the people that are accusing him of this stuff. But they're now contacting all of these wrestlers, telling them this, telling them that. And like I said yesterday on Patreon, if any of this were true, you know who should go after Quincy Elliott? Zoe Stark. Kick him in the fucking nuts. Cameron Grimes, punch him in the goddamn mouth. The people that they claim he is making fun of and criticizing his fellow employees. And it's this weird shit going on online, because the people making these accusations, what happens is their friends turn around. Now, I purposely blocked all the IDs because I don't want anyone to look at these profiles and go after these people. But these people, as twisted as they are, they have friends. So what happens? 20, 30, 40 people write back, oh my God, that's awful. If he said that to you, that's fucking inexcusable. Especially when you think about the LGBTQ community. Very, very supportive and tight-knit and, stick up for each other. And this guy, they, whatever you want to, however he identifies himself, this person is going after these people, and they have friends, and these friends are like, oh my God, if that's true, that's awful. He should be fired immediately. And then that just picks up steam and momentum, and it snowballs. And it's turning into an absolute disaster. Because, look, the guy, obviously, the character is, still, it's just developmental. And we don't know if he's going to map out a career in wrestling or not. But just the fact that something like this could snowball into as big as it's turned out, I wanted to come up here and show everyone there is nothing. I looked and checked every fucking tweet, every post, every account. I checked everything to see if there's even an inkling that it could be him. Why, out of the clear blue, just come out and start doing this stuff? Quincy Elliott has no history of doing this. Not caught, not on, nothing. And right now, there's this weird movement out there to get rid of this person. And it's really fucked up. I feel bad for him. It's everything about it leads nowhere. And I know what someone's going to say after this show. They're going to say, DT, if it's not true, why even bring it up? I wasn't going to bring it up. But when I started seeing websites writing, Quincy Elliott denies transphobic, racist, homophobic, that triggers the LGBTQ community. Say, wait, what? Even though he denies it, you have a bunch of people making the same accusation. And people don't bother to look and research to say, oh my God, before I start destroying this guy, let me look a little bit further. No, people will just say, wow, if that's true, man, Quincy Elliott's career is over. And then that builds and it builds and it builds and it takes a life of its own. And the next thing you know, you got thousands of people out there all making this accusation, and the entire story is based on nothing. Nothing. And I know I keep saying him. I know Quincy Elliott identifies himself as non-binary. It's just, the way I talk. It's force of habit. But again, I wanted you to know about this because, am I comparing Quincy Elliott to Velveteen Dream? No, not at all. I don't know anyone who knows Velveteen Dream. Patrick Clark personally have said, oh, he's a wonderful guy. And I don't know anybody that's ever said that. But I actually did communicate with people prior, and they had nothing but nice things to say about Quincy Elliott. And when you see something like this is exactly how the Velveteen Dream shit started. And it took him off TV. And yes, he's got a little bit of an issue with his personality, but still, it derailed his career. And even though WWE, they knew the truth, Triple H went public and said, look, we found nothing. People still would not accept it. A $1 billion publicly traded company pays an outside forensics company to examine that phone to see if anything nefarious was done, and they find nothing. And that's still not good enough. So people don't want the truth. They didn't want the truth about Velveteen Dream at the time. They don't want the truth about Quincy Elliott either. And that just goes to show you how so quickly you could get put in a situation like that. And how do you get out of it? How do you get out of it? I mean, you almost feel like sometimes you may have to pay people and actually go with something like that just to prevent something like this happening. You think his career is just going to pick up where it left off? No. This shit, these people are on a mission right now. And they're convinced that it's Quincy Elliott. And again, it could be him. Could be him. But, you know, I always believe, you know, someone's innocent until proven guilty. And there is nothing. There's no history. Look, Lars Sullivan. And I'll leave you with this and then we're going to finish. Lars Sullivan. That's a guy that I talked to personally a little bit. And he thanked me for some of the things that I said. And, you know, he had a history many years ago of saying some fucked up shit. But there was no track record of him saying this 10 years later. Then you find out a little bit about his sexuality. And then obviously the movie that everybody knows about. And then you start hearing stories that, you know, when he went after the gay community years ago, people didn't know that he was in a gay film. And people didn't know that he was mistreated and his sexuality. He was mistreated. So that may be the reason why he had issues talking, you know, the way he did, talking about gay. Me, I don't know. I was not there. I'm not going to psychoanalyze it, but it doesn't justify it. There is no justification for saying anything horrendous like that, period. None. There's nothing. You just try to understand it. But when I think of those three scenarios, I look at Lars Sullivan, I look at Velveteen Dream, I look at Quincy Elliott, and I say to myself, what all three have in common? And, you know, you don't find that a little bit odd that, you know, their sexuality, you know, it seems to be like the target. There's something, I don't know. Is it just coincidence? Now with Lars, he had a history. So you can't escape your history. The guy was 19 years old, fucked up, claimed that he grew up and learned over the years and changed his views and his ways. And there's nothing to go against that. You know, so him, it's a little bit different. But, man, what I see what's going on right now with Quincy Elliott mirrors what happened with Velveteen Dream. And the difference between the two is that people that know Quincy Elliott, nothing bad to say whatsoever. Not one of those to write the N-word and the F-word and go after people online like it is. There's no history, none, zero. And people don't want the truth. There's some weird enjoyment about seeing someone go down, and I feel bad for Quincy Elliott. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to jet out of here. I'm not losing my voice, but we actually went a little longer than I thought we were tonight. So before we get out of here, since, you know, I'm looking and I see, what school did you go to? Oh, theme parks with Johnny. Hey, DT, what school did I go to? No need to answer, but I am right. Thank you. I'm not writing this for clout. I'm not writing this so Quincy Elliott could send me a DM. Hey, man, thank you for doing it. No, I'm just telling you what I see. And a lot of you out there wanted me to talk about this because, people will just go out there and say, oh, alleged, homophobic, racist, derogatory stuff, calling wrestlers, ripping, making fun of people, instead of just trying to find the answer first. And when you realize that it's not true, how's about not feeding it or teasing it that it could be true, or he's denying it. It's awful. It's awful. By the way, I went to St. Francis Prep High School. So St. John's University for about 2 weeks, and then I dropped out. Worst thing you could do when you graduate high school is go to a college that a lot of your friends also went to. First day I went to St. John's University, no bullshit. I went to the parking lot, and I saw a bunch of my friends that I had not seen since the summertime. I thought I would never see them again. Remember, this is the late 80s. No cell phones, other than the fucking bricks that you saw on TV. No, we have beepers. But a lot of us, no email, no internet. So a lot of the people's phone numbers we didn't keep. Thought I would only see them at a high school reunion. I show up at St. John's University, a bunch of my friends, hey, it's a nice day. Let's go get something to eat. We went to a diner, and then we played video games all day long. The next day, I woke up. I was a little tired. I went in my car. I told my mom and my dad, all right, I'm going to go to school. And I just drove around the whole day. I did that for a whole week. Finally, the second week, and this will probably piss off some people, whatever. Second week, I said, you know what? I got to get my shit together. My parents paid for me to go to St. John's University. My second week, I walked into class. The first 3 classes, I could not understand the teachers. One had this heavy German accent. I sound Japanese. Someone was Indian, and I don't even remember the third national. I couldn't understand them. I went to the executive office or whatever it is, and I said, look, can I change my classes? I can't understand the teachers. And I swear to God, somebody in the administration said to me, you will. And I was like, I will not. And I fucking dropped out. I went to St. John's for 2 weeks, technically. I dropped out of school. And, after a month, I couldn't keep up just going out and going to the diner and driving around all day and blasting music. I had to sit down with my parents, and my father was pissed. He spent all that money sending me to St. John's University, and I quit after 2 weeks. True story. So you got a little grown-up Don Tony to go off the air tonight. So, guys, gals, it's been real. So, here's the deal. I will be here Saturday morning for the Don Tony Show. I know it's New Year's Eve, the 31st, but I will be here Saturday morning because we do have some news to get into. So, it'll be a quick show Saturday morning. Saturday night at 10 p.m., I will come up here live and we'll rein in the new year together. If you're online, New Year's Eve, between 10 p.m. and like midnight, 12:30 in the morning, stop by for a little bit. Say hello. Don't be a stranger. Some of you that don't go out on New Year's Eve. I don't like going out on New Year's Eve. There's too many drunk people on the road. I'm going to just have a nice dinner somewhere with my wife, and then I'm going to come home, relax for a little bit, and then I'll just jump on here at 10 p.m., and we'll spend about 2.5 hours online. If you want to talk wrestling, that's fine. If you want to talk about looking back at 20, whatever is on your mind, we're just going to hang out, eat a little bit, drink a little bit, talk, reign in the new year like we did the last 2 years. It's going to be easy viewing. But for those that may not be interested in that, I still will be here Saturday morning. We're only going to do an hour. I promise you. We're going to talk about Cena and Kevin Owens taking on Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. We're going to see where that storyline progresses. We also, I think we have Raquel Rodriguez versus Ronda Rousey. We have Rampage, which, doesn't look like that bad of a show Friday, so we'll get into that a little bit. I got some news. We'll see if anything happens between now and Saturday morning with Sasha Banks. And we'll do a quick show Saturday morning. So that's it. My friends, much love. If you do not join me Saturday at all, or Sunday, or Monday, or Tuesday on Patreon, have a wonderful new year. All the best to each and every one of you. I thank you for a fun 2022. You will definitely hear me say even New Year's Eve, that I honestly think 2022 was a great fucking year for pro wrestling. Seriously. I mean, what we see in the future, 2023 I think is going to be even bigger than 2022. But man, 2020 and 2021 with COVID, and yes, COVID is still around, but you had Thunderdome, you had, indie wrestlers pretending to be fans at AEW events. 2022 started to feel normal again. It's a new normal. But you look back at the year of 2022 and everything that we fucking got in wrestling. And it didn't all start after Vince McMahon retired. A lot of good shit happened from WrestleMania, from AEW. There was a lot of good shit this year for pro wrestling. In fact, I could honestly say in the last 15 years for me, 2022 has got to be in my top 5, maybe even top 3, because we really, every month, there was good shit going down. Even though some of the good shit was controversy, between Punk and Vince and other stuff, but still, there was a lot of shit that went down. We had some amazing matches. You look at Sami Zayn and that storyline, the bloodline. You look at, the progression of some younger stars. NXT has totally upped its game in the last 12 months. There was a lot to like about 2022. There was a lot to criticize as well. No year is ever going to be perfect. But I thought 2022 was a damn good year for pro wrestling. And I'm excited to see what we get in 2023. So, and it's going to be a lot of unique stuff. So we will see. But everyone, I'm going to jet out of here. Much love as always. You all be well. And I will definitely see you next year. Happy New Year, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the hosts. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.